Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, Fly Fishing Guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah, try it sometime.
I may be retired, but I still have finances to manage. With direct deposit and automatic payments, ICCU makes it easy to spend less time banking and more time baking.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Thursday to you. Our man Jay Tust going to be along in just a couple of seconds. Going to have some fun on today's show. The big topic, quarterbacks, Talon Green, his status, and who should start and who would you start in the bowl game and who will start in the bowl game against UCLA a week from Saturday. It's crazy, these early bowl games. Boise State only 9 days away from the bowl game against UCLA. We'll get into the quarterback situation and more with our man Jay Tust. Again, my name is BJ Rains. This is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. We do this every morning, hopefully around 9 a.m., sometimes with travel and schedules and things. It's a little different, but we talk Boise State athletics with a various variety of co-hosts around 9 a.m. Mountain Time for 30, 45 minutes or so every weekday. And then we have live pregame and postgame shows for every Boise State football and basketball game on location. So if you're just finding our YouTube channel, as many of you have, we've added 600 new YouTube subscribers in the last 28 days. Appreciative of all of you, and hopefully you'll tell your friends and make this part of your daily routine to wake up, whether you're at work or at home or wherever, and at 9 a.m. flip on Bronco Nation News on the YouTube channel as we talk Boise State athletics here on a Thursday morning. Gerald saying, starting us off, Bronco Brew Coffee is awesome. Yes, it is. Bronco Brew Coffee. We appreciate you, Gerald. Roasted to order, fresh coffee. And again, it helps Boise State's NIL game with every sip. They're an officially licensed partner of Boise State athletics. BroncoBrew.coffee is the website. And it's a new revolutionary type thing where you can choose an athlete on their website, and some of the money and the proceeds go directly to that athlete as part of an NIL deal. And they need 700 people to make the switch. And if 700 of you that already drink coffee just redirect your coffee funds to Bronco Brew Coffee, all of a sudden that gives them $100,000 they can use for that QB1 fund if you select that when you're purchasing to help entice a top athlete to either stay or to come to Boise State. And again, you can order your coffee and get more information at broncobrew.coffee. So we had fun yesterday at Stein Distributing. We appreciate them. They've got some new signs for me. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this thing, but they gave me a humongous Cutwater sign here that I got to put somewhere in the room. We'll figure something out here for that. But I think our man Jay Tust is about ready to come in. Jay, give me the thumbs up whenever you're good to go. Okay, I didn't see the headphones there. Sorry about that, Jay. Keep your comments coming. Keep your questions coming, and we'll get to those here shortly on Bronco Nation News Live. We bring in our man Jay Tust. There he is. How are we doing, Jay? You know what? I had up. You know what, Jay? You're muted. And you know what? Hold on a second. I had this ready to go. Where is it? Here it is. I have a new soundbite that I'm going to now have ready for the rest of the show. Here we go, folks. I think Jay knows where I'm going with this, but
Jay, you might be on mute. Jay, you might be on mute.
I can't help it, man. I was laughing. First of all, the press conference was kind of crazy. You didn't know when they were going to call on you. You didn't know what was going on. I know our friend Bob Beeler had some problems as well figuring out the thing. But I had a chuckle when they called on you, and then the lady said you might have been on mute, because I've heard that a time or two before.
From you, right?
At the radio station, it was real easy. I could just press some of those buttons. I remember the Brian Harson. What are the stats, Jay? You know the stats. I always love that one. But now if there's a way, I need to have the mute one ready from the media director of the bowl game here.
You might be on mute.
There you go. But we got you now. You're back.
I was on mute.
There you go. Sometimes it's on you. Sometimes it's on me. I'll take the blame for some of them. But we can hear you now, and we're happy to talk a lot of variety of topics here with you, Jay. I think the big one today, tomorrow we'll talk a little more basketball, I think. But obviously the football, is the story right now, and the quarterback situation in particular. We'll talk a little Ashton Genty with you and get your thoughts there. We've talked about that the last couple of days. I think you're in the same boat as me, and I think you're talking to the same person or folks that I am, because I've seen a lot of our information regarding Talon Green being similar in terms of who he's talked to and things like that. But my understanding is the door is pretty much closed on him playing in the bowl game. It's not 100% that he's gone for sure, but he's got some visits he's got to take and some things. And I do not expect Talon Green to be available for the bowl game, regardless of what happens next with him. So that does put them in a pretty tough bind here for next Saturday's game against UCLA.
Yeah, it does. And, Talon played really, really well in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. I think the sad thing about it for me, BJ, is that you finally felt like Bush and Talon really, truly clicked in that game. I mean, Talon played outstanding. Bush dialed up an incredible game plan, and we finally see what we've been longing for. And it might be the last time we see it, but I thought Bush's execution, I thought Bush's game plan, his play calling was nothing short of outstanding. And Talon Green did a lot of things that Bush has been demanding of him for quite some time. Having good feet, throwing from the pocket, vertical run game. I mean, these are all things that Talon showed he is perfectly capable of doing. And we saw just how dynamic he can be when he effectively does it. And so, gosh, would love to run it back next year, but Talon Green has some big decisions that he has to make coming up in the very near future, you feel.
Yeah, my understanding is maybe taking a visit to Arkansas, trying to get a couple other visits lined up, but there's been 4 or 5 schools that have already flown to Boise to meet with him. Ironically enough, one of them was Oregon State, I heard, and I was like walking through the airport after arriving in Boise on Tuesday morning, and I saw a dude in an Oregon State jacket with a bag, and I almost thought, I wonder if that was a coach. I should turn around and look, and I didn't. And then I went to their website and couldn't find one of their coaches that matched what I thought he looked like. So who knows if that was actually him or not. But Oregon State is one of the schools that has, my understanding, come to Boise already to meet with him. I know some folks are surprised by this, Jay. I put the list out. You put the list out about the same time on the schools that had reached out to him in the first couple of hours. A lot of fans, I think, are a little surprised that some of the names of the schools that are reaching out to him. But I think some of the raw tools and some of the, especially, the running ability and the arm strength. I mean, some of the stuff you're seeing is just, I know some of the numbers aren't there. Boise State fans see some of the passes. Some of the Maddox Madsen fans are saying how the heck could Michigan State and Arkansas and Oregon State all be interested in Talon Green. So that list, I think, did surprise some folks, but that raw talent is just hard to pass up.
I mean, his 70-yard touchdown run against UNLV tells you and shows you everything you needed to see. He's a very unique athlete, and when it clicks, I mean, he's special. And it didn't surprise me at all to see who reached out, BJ. That list was not surprising at all, in my opinion. Oregon State, I know they lost DJ Uiagalelei to the or however you say it, to the transfer portal. I know they had a backup quarterback that was young this last year they were super high on. I don't know his status, if he's gone on into the portal yet. Some predicted he would be Michigan State's next starting quarterback due to his connections with Jonathan Smith. But last year against Oregon State, pretty much cold off the bench, Talon Green threw for 100, rushed for 100 against the Beavers. So I can see why he left a nice impression on Oregon State. The interesting thing there, BJ, I'm not predicting by any means that is where Talon Green ends up, by the way.
Back on the blue.
That would be a case, one of those rare scenarios where if he did go there, then he would play not only against Boise State next year, but at Boise State next year.
And we should throw that out there. There's a little clarification, a little confusion yesterday with the report that came out from our man John Canzana over there in Oregon. I was able to confirm, with some folks at Boise State that there is talk. It's not official. They hope by the end of the week to have something. It sounds like it very well could happen. But I think it's interesting news, Jay, that a lot of us, myself included, just assumed the Oregon game would be gone. Just take it off the schedule, take the check, make your schedule easier next year, and take the money and let Oregon play Oregon State. But it looks like the new plan is to move that game up 1 week to the 7th of September. And that was the week that that's the Boise State at Oregon game, move it up to September 7th. And then that was supposed to be the Boise State-Oregon State game, but now it will still be a non-conference game, but because Oregon State is needing to get 6 games or whatever and having the Mountain West basically set half their schedule, they're going to just give that game to the Mountain West. It is not one of the games. It is still a non-conference game, but now the Mountain West will just put that date of that game in where it fits with the rest of their schedule. Boise State will still play Washington State as the +1. So you're still playing all 3 games. The date will just be determined now by the Mountain West instead of Boise State and Oregon State scheduling it as a non-conference game. It works better to try to fit the date in there because they have to schedule 6 other Oregon State games and 7 other Boise State games. And they just said, hey, why don't you find the date that works best for us to play this game? So I think there was some confusion over, that's now the +1. They're not playing Wazoo. No, they're still going to play Wazoo. They're still going to play Oregon State. The date will just be set by the Mountain West. But now all of a sudden you still have, Jay, Oregon State, Washington State in all likelihood on the schedule next season.
Yeah, you're exactly right there. That's everything that I've heard as well, BJ. I am still a little cautious as I consider if Oregon actually is going to play on the blue again. I'm a little cautious of that just because the Big Ten schedule is very interesting, man. And I know Oregon loves to have 7 home games each and every year. And the Mountain West is about to embark on this, but you look at how the schedule is going to move going forward, BJ, that imbalanced home-away conference schedule, that's something the Big Ten has had for quite some time now. So in years where Oregon has 5 away games, if they're going to stick with their 7 home game model, that means that they cannot play any road games in non-conference play. And so that it's just going to be interesting. And this has been a really complicated thing to try to figure out. There are more schools involved in this than just Boise State and Oregon. Obviously, Oregon State and continuing that rivalry to a degree. Washington State, we've heard Texas Tech that wants to jump in and play a couple of those games as well, or at least one of them, I should say. So it is just a really complicated process right now to try to get this thing figured out. It's going to happen. They'll get it figured out, but as you said, right now, it definitely appears like they're going to try to move that Oregon game up a week. The Oregon State game will now be thrown into the pool that the Mountain West is going to help Boise State figure out, and it's just going to be a little bit of a wait-and-see approach. But fingers crossed that Oregon game still happens on the blue. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a lock at this point, though.
Yeah, and we're supposed to get some clarity on that here in the next week or two. Wouldn't surprise me by the end of the week if we get clarity on that. By the way, Robbie Robinson chiming in, Bronco Brew, 100% agree. Bronco Brew is awesome. We got Nate Staley on here. I have the weekly subscription, very good quality beans, and I don't run out and have to go to the store. So there you go. Nate and Robbie, both with recommendations for Bronco Brew coffee. Again, roasted to order. We're talking all about this NIL stuff and all this. Well, Bronco Brew coffee stepped up, paid a lot of money to Boise State to be able to use that logo right there. And they're an official partner of Boise State Athletics. And then a lot, they could have kept more of the proceeds, but they're putting a lot of the proceeds back into the NIL fund at Boise State. So make sure you check them out at BroncoBrewCoffee.com. All right, I want to get back to the quarterback situation. Jay, let's take our first 90-second timeout here. 90-second break, and we'll get back to the quarterback situation. CJ Tiller or Colt Fulton? Who is starting for Boise State? Who should start? Who would you start? We have the poll question on YouTube right now. Get your thoughts in on who you would start in the bowl game. Is it Tiller or is it Fulton? We'll discuss that next here in 90 seconds on Bronco Nation News. All Bronco Nation News broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. All right, we're back here. Jay Tust, we got the poll up going up on YouTube. We had a little fun with the first poll. I included Jay Tust as the third option for who should start against UCLA, but that kind of skewed the numbers. So we just put another one up with just CJ Tiller or Colt Fulton. And the problem is, Jay, nothing, it's no disrespect to either candidate, but we don't know a ton about either one of these guys. They haven't done very much. And I think if you're a fan, I think a lot of the fans look at it and say, hey, CJ Tiller is the 3-star, scholarship quarterback. It's got to be him, right? And then I think that some other guys, maybe look at, Colt Fulton's been in the program for 3 years, and Colt Fulton knows the offense. And there's some, various reasons why you would certainly go with either quarterback at this point. So get your comments in the chat there. Get your thoughts in who should start at quarterback in the bowl game. Again, CJ Tiller and Colt Fulton look like it's going to be one of these two guys. CJ Tiller, 6'1", true freshman out of Gilbert, Arizona, played at Rancho Cucamonga High School. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, as I said, was a 3-star prospect, was a top 50 quarterback in the country at the time, according to ESPN, Rivals, a lot of these recruiting rankings, and was seen as a good get when they got him. But for whatever reason, They, did not put him in the game at any point here down the stretch for Boise State. I don't know if anybody heard the it was all in good fun, but our man Bush Hamden taking a little shot at me on KTIK radio, saying, telling Johnny and Prater, I know BJ wanted these guys to play in the conference championship game. That's not exactly true. But I do think in the New Mexico and Utah State games, there may have been an opportunity here and there, but I was reminded by somebody, what you may have thought that in the Colorado State game as well, and that turned around pretty quickly. So I guess you got to win the games. You got to do what you can, but it would have been nice if they could have found a way to get either Tiller or Fulton into the game here. Fulton got one snap in the Utah State game when Taylon Green's helmet came off. Jay was involved in 2-point conversions as well at times this year. Again, he was a 3-star recruit himself. Didn't play much the COVID season, which, probably hurt his recruitment a little bit. But by all accounts, again, he is a walk-on, but 6'4", 200 pounds, has the size. He is a left-handed thrower, which you have to throw in there when you're talking Boise State and quarterbacks. He is a lefty. But my understanding with him, Jay, is that he is as smart or smarter than any other quarterback in the room, knows the offense as well as anybody. We've heard numerous times that he really helped Taylon Green with this offense, behind the scenes, and it's kind of been Bush Hamden's guy to lean on throughout the last year as well. So maybe the higher upside, with a guy like Tiller long term, but Fulton is the guy that knows the offense better. It sounds like is maybe the smarter football player, is older, is a little bit bigger. And it just, I guess, for one game here, you have to decide what gives you the best chance to win. I don't know if this is going on a limb or not, but I think they're leaning in the direction of Colt Fulton, to be honest with you. I think the walk-on lefty, based on what I've heard, could be the guy that gets the start, and I think that might surprise some people. But when I asked Spencer Danielson at the basketball game about it, Colt Fulton was the first guy he brought up. We'll see, Jay. What do you think about all this, and which way do you think they're leaning? Who would you start? What do you make of the quarterback situation?
Who is really good at doing this?
Yeah, that's a good point. Turn your mic up a little bit, by the way. It looks like you got it switched, but you got to back up the sound a little bit.
Who's really good at doing that, BJ?
Probably they can both do that.
Yeah, they probably can both do that. I'm kidding.
So you're saying it doesn't matter. They're going to hand the ball off every play.
Maybe not every play, but maybe a little bit more now. They're going to probably rely on Ashton Genty and George Halani, maybe as much as they ever had, and even now Breezy Dubar as well, for that matter. I think that it's an interesting situation to be in, man, and one Boise State probably never really anticipated. And I know that everybody wants to throw out the alliteration of dependable depth and things like that, but this is a moment that's really going to test Boise State and their quarterback room. They thought that Taylon Green would be their guy, and I think this does kind of show, BJ, that for me, I think that Taylon Green, has probably can kind of in his support staff have probably kind of been considering this for a long time now. I think that it had absolutely zero to do with Spencer Danielson being named the interim head coach. Him and Taylon Green have a great relationship. Taylon and Bush have a very strong relationship. And I think there were just some things that happened this year that, were probably at times unfair. And if anything too with that, like just the communication and how everything was presented publicly was just awkward. It showed that it didn't work, BJ. They continued to call Taylon Green the starter, yet not play him as the starter. And I just think that all of that was just a really weird message. And, I know that the communication process within the locker room can be different, but man, fans, players, media, we all watch these press conferences, and that is the reality that is conveyed to the public. And so when that does not align on game day, that's the loudest voice. It just is. And it just was really kind of presented in an awkward way. And, for one reason or another, Taylon wants to test out the transfer portal. Is there a chance he comes back? I do think there's a chance he comes back. I don't want to necessarily get fans' hopes up at this point in time, but I'm saying like the door is not completely closed on him coming back to Boise State. They're going to figure this out. Taylon passed on some opportunities last year, and the rules right now, BJ, as we all know in college football, they're not just set up for student athletes to utilize them. They're almost encouraged right now to find out their worth and see if there's any other situation out there that is better for them. that is kind of the way the rules are right now. And so while it is tough, and I know that some fans are mad at this situation, I don't know if you can really blame the kid. I mean, to each their own, as all of these student athletes present this or attack this in a different way.
Yep.
And for right now, this is the way that Taylon Green and his support staff are choosing to attack this. And it's unfortunate it happens before a bowl game, but I guess what I was getting back to is, you mentioned that over these last 3 games, Boise State didn't really give any of their other quarterbacks behind Taylon Green too much, time in a game. I mean, technically Colton and CJ have never thrown a pass in a game, right?
I think Fulton threw a 2-point conversion.
Right. But that technically it is a point after attempt. So while he might have points attached to his name this
year,
a
passing attempt.
It's not, and he doesn't have a passing attempt. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just going to be an interesting scenario, but I don't necessarily think that Boise State anticipated Taylon Green entering the transfer portal after the Mountain West Conference Championship game. And
I think that's short. That's if they don't think that was happening, that's short-sighted on their part. Then I think they with the way he was used this year, everybody, all of us, all the fans, everybody saw that it was possible he was going to leave. I think that's if they honestly, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think that they had to have had some idea this might happen. I mean, I can't.
Hear me out. This is the double-edged sword here, BJ, because on one hand, you're right, man. Like they should have anticipated this. I don't know if there's a difference between throwing 5 passes in a college football game and no passes in a college football game. Maybe there isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of this, though, if you're trying to keep Taylon Green in the blue and orange, the thing that made him probably a little agitated to begin with was the fact that he had inconsistent playing time. And one thing that I saw from this, and something I said, months ago at this point in time, Taylon Green's only a sophomore. And he played so much as a freshman that I think people want to skip the developmental process. Interestingly enough, BJ, I was calling the 214th edition of the United Heritage Insurance Mayor's Cup between the College of Idaho and NNU last night. A gritty Yotes win went down to the final possession. But why I bring that up, there's a kid named Talon Pinckney at the College of Idaho. He's probably the best player they have ever had in program history. He graduated a couple of years ago. And as he was talking to his old head coach, who was still the head coach at the College of Idaho, he was saying, make sure you check on your sophomores. And the coach was like, you got to explain that to me. And he said that for him, another guy that played a lot as a freshman, came back as a sophomore, thought that he had it all figured out, had confidence, and he quickly realized he didn't have it all figured out, right? And so it was kind of like this crazy mental struggle. And I just think that might relate to Taylon Green, man. Like, he had such a good redshirt freshman season, 14 touchdown passes, 10 touchdowns on the ground. He had such a good freshman season that I think we all wanted to just expedite this thing, myself included, and throw him in the conversation to be Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. Again, I will say, I'm guilty of it, man. He had some of his struggles. He's fought through those struggles. I don't think the answer was less reps for Taylon Green, though, in the middle of the season. And that's nothing against Maddox Madsen, because he did more with less reps at time, right? I just think that now over this last month or so, when you saw Taylon once again become QB1 and like legit QB1 that operated as QB1 on game day, had more reps at practice. You look at this last 3-game stretch, BJ, you could argue it was his best 3-game stretch that he's had as a complete all-around quarterback, man. Like, his completion percentage has skyrocketed. His quarterback efficiency rating has skyrocketed. He was 12 of 15, man, in the Mountain West Conference Championship game. The game prior to that, he was 13 of 17. Like, some of his efficiency really started to take off. And I think that more playing time was the answer for him. So if you took that away,
I mean, when you're mid to late fourth quarter and you're going to hand it off 3 times, you no matter, you could have at least let Fulton or Tiller done that for a series. And the argument was, oh, well, you got to have the red shirt. Well, you get 4 games. So once you got to the Utah State game, you literally knew even with a championship game, you only had 4 games left. I don't know. I mean, for me, like, I guess I'm just saying, I had been saying this for a couple weeks. Like, I asked Bush Hamden about this in a press conference like a couple of weeks before. I was like, do you need to get CJ Tiller or one of these guys in a game? And I think we even asked Spencer Danielson when we had the little thing with him at the end of the season there, once we found out that Maddox was hurt. We were talking to him kind of behind the scenes. So these coaches get paid way more than me. They know way more than what we're talking about. I get it, as someone reminded me, someone on the coaching staff reminded me that when you were playing Colorado State, that happened. Like that can't leave your mind ever again the rest of the season. And that may have had something to do with it, that they just couldn't take that chance. But again, if you're in a situation where you're in the 4-minute offense, as they say, and you're running out the clock and you're just going to run it 3 times no matter what, like, and again, would that really have helped CJ Tiller or Colt Fulton? Like, you hand the ball off 3 times to all of a sudden start in this game? Probably not, but just the command of the huddle to at least say that you played in the game. I don't know. I just thought it would have had some sort of benefit, but it is what it is. And now they are, I thought this was certainly possible. And you're right, Jay. It's not necessarily the NIL money thing. I think it was, hey, he passed up on a lot more money last year and he decided to stay, from my understanding, like, a lot more money elsewhere, wanted to stay, played the loyalty card, whatever. And then they're going to keep you as a starter. And I mean, there was, I forget which game it was, Fresno State, or one of those games where he literally started and played 1 play and then got pulled out. And I know that, and I know the Fresno State game where he played 1 play, I know for a fact that's where it started to turn in the locker room in a really negative way towards some of the coaches, and in particular, one coach that's maybe no longer here. I mean, the way that was handled did not sit well with, obviously, Taylen Green, and I'm told a lot of other players as well that they thought that was, frankly, embarrassing the way that went down, to play 1 play and then get pulled out. And so,
I want to touch on that really quick, BJ, because I like what you're saying, and I think that this has this hits home in something else that we have heard. I don't know if it's directly related, but man, it seems convenient. So one thing that Spencer Danielson has said is, love is an action, right? And I really feel like his the way that he has gone about being the head coach at Boise State, he hasn't necessarily just been talk. It has been an action. And that is just an example where it was more talk than action. You're going to stand out there and tell me Taylen Green's the starter, and then the action is he plays 1 play and you put him on the bench. And this is within the thing that really probably agitates me the most about this. We are talking about the opening script of a game, BJ.
Yep, they planned all week to do that.
This is something where they know the personnel, they know the plays, they know what they are doing in their opening script. And the plan was to start Taylen Green for 1 play and then take him off the field. And again, the actions did not match what we were being told, or everybody was being told.
And I guess my point to that is that you could talk about NIL, talk about whatever, but you can't blame anybody. You cannot. I don't think anybody could blame Taylen Green if you look at that situation and how it was used all year and go, you know what, like, I don't know if you say feelings being hurt is the right word, but just say, like, I don't need this. Like, heck with this. Like, I'm going to go somewhere where I'm either the starter or I'm not. They're not going to play me around every other play. And some people are saying, oh, well, I mean, what he thinks he's going to go win the job at Arkansas, really? Or no one's going to just hand him the job. I don't think he wants to be handed the job anywhere. I just think he wants to, if he wins the job, actually play and not if Maddox Madsen's coming back and we don't know, again, we don't 100% know. I don't know if we'll ever know if it was a Andy Avalos thing or a Bush Hamden thing, pushing for Maddox Madsen to get that playing time. And if it was a Bush thing and Maddox Madsen's coming back and the OC's coming back and Taylen Green sees a situation where they can tell me all they want that I'm QB1, but you know what? Who's to say in the second or third game they're not going to all of a sudden start putting Maddox Madsen back in there again? Yeah. I've seen some people taking shots at his competitiveness and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't think that's it at all. I think it was, hey man, you guys are jerking me around like this. I don't like how it went, and I'm going to go find somewhere where maybe I'm valued a little more, or somewhere where I'm at least going to hear it straight and not have it be told one way and be done something else. So that's why I think is the main reason Taylen Green's looking to leave, not trying to get more money.
In this case, I agree with you. And I just think that there was not a lot of transparency in what was happening. And I will reiterate, I know that a coach can stand in front of the team and say, hey, listen to what I'm saying in this locker room, not what I'm saying in my press conference. But I don't think that sits well in today's day and age of college football, where if you offend athletes, they have options, and especially if they're really talented. And Taylon Green is really, really talented. And I think that it would have gone better if there was some transparency and there was honesty, and that is how that it was presented to the public, because just calling him the starter and not having the action of him actually being the starter, I think that hurt some feelings in the long run here, BJ.
And who can blame him?
And I don't blame, by the way, like, if you want to call it trust, I don't know what you want to call it, but if you want to say some of that stuff was lost, I think that Spencer Danielson, if anybody, has a chance to win that back. If anybody can do it, it is Spencer Danielson. But I think that I'm not going to hold it against the kid and his support group for maybe wanting to step back and just see what that plan looks like. Again, the rules of college football today are designed to do this. BJ, I have been guilty of NIL, transfer portal, all this stuff, rolling my eyes at it, saying this isn't the college football that we all fell in love with, right? But we're never going back to that. So if that is your take, it's simply time to leave that in the past, because this is the way that it is now. It's not going back to that. Like, the only way that it goes back to that maybe is if the top 30, 35 schools in all of college football that have all the money break off, start their own thing, and then the remaining 100 schools say, you know what, let's regulate this a little bit more so it does mimic what college football used to be. That's the only wing and a prayer that this goes back to what it used to be. But if your take is holding it against somebody because NIL, transfer portal, the new rules, you got to get over it, because this is what the game is now. It just it is.
And I've been told the only reason that, I'm sure you heard the same thing, the only reason he's even included the option to possibly return, and the only reason that it's not 100% he is out of here, even if it is still 99%, the only reason it's not 100 is Spencer Danielson. And that made this decision even tougher for him to decide to transfer, because obviously that the main person that he had the issues with is no longer here. But the only reason there's still a slight chance is Spencer Danielson. And for a defensive guy and the quarterback all of a sudden is like reconsidering, that's why. But I still think it's a very slim possibility, and it won't happen for the bowl game. He's traveling to do visits and things this weekend. He's not going to play in the bowl game. But Spencer Danielson's not.
I think it's both ways though, BJ. I don't think the coaching staff wants this hanging over the team and having it as a distraction during the bowl game.
You might come back, you might leave, but we'll let you play in the bowl game. No. I do want to spin this forward quickly, though, Jay. I want to take our last quick 90-second timeout, and then I want to get your thoughts on who should start and your thoughts on the plan at quarterback against UCLA coming up in 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Ahlquist and Ball Ventures Ahlquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com. All right, Jay, we spin this thing forward. Colt Fulton, CJ Tiller. We're seeing we have the chat going there, and about 2/3 of the people, unsurprisingly, are saying to go with Tiller. I maybe I'm like totally off base on this, which I usually am, but I think it's going to be Colt Fulton, man. I really do. And I just have heard a lot of good things about it. I continue to just small conversations with random people that just say, oh, he did this or that. And so we'll see what happens. By the way, the autograph appearance has been canceled for Saturday. They ended up adding a practice. The team is practicing Saturday afternoon, so they wouldn't have been able to make it anyway. Riley can't make it, so the NIL appearance at Lithia Ford is off for Saturday. Just throwing that out there. But what do you make of where they're at here in terms of Fulton or CJ Tiller?
I think this team really wants to win this bowl game, BJ. It's a chance to go 9-5, finish with 4 straight wins. It could be a really nice, the start to the Spencer Danielson era. And they have to go with who gives them the best chance to win this ball game. I don't really think you can focus too far down the road with this thing, man. Like, UCLA's lost some guys at the transfer portal. It seems like they're a little susceptible at this point in time to maybe a little bit of some struggles themselves as they try to figure out new pieces to their team. I'm kind of right there with you. I think it was prior to the bowl game. I think it was the last question of the press conference. I just said, hey, Bush, like, what can Colt Fulton do if you need him? Because Bush has complimented Colt in the past, his experience, his knowledge of the offense, and those things that he brings to the quarterback room. And Bush's answer at the time was like, kind of shrug your shoulders, like, we're only going to actually know once he gets into the game. Something that I'll add about Colt, he was one of those COVID seniors out of high school. And so a really not due to anything that he could control, but due to the virus attacking our world, just kind of an inconsistent senior season when it came to getting looks and being recruited. And you go back in decent numbers for sure. He had some production at the high school level, but ended up as a walk-on at Boise State. And CJ Tiller comes in as a more highly touted quarterback. One thing that I can't really ignore, BJ, and if you really pay attention and you connect the dots, I think there's some significance there. Whenever we asked about CJ Tiller to his teammates, they were all quick to praise him. Don't get me wrong here, but they all almost immediately brought up the fact that he was young. And to me, that suggests that he's growing, he's learning, as he should be his first year on a college campus.
Yep.
But I just couldn't get that. I couldn't ignore that. Like that message continued to connect player after player after player. Again, they really like TJ. I can't remember. It might have been Garrett Curran said, hey, I love CJ. I love CJ Tiller. But at some point in time, every single one of them mentioned he's young. And I just think that they're intentionally, unintentionally, I'm going to interpret that.
Yeah.
He's young.
And again, like, it's not like you're being a walk-on means that you're not any, like, Boise State has had plenty of walk-ons play and do good things. So I think the walk-on label that Colt Fulton has maybe is a little
more interesting at the quarterback position, though.
That's fair. That is fair. But, and again, he's in his 3rd year in the program. Like I said, my understanding is he was like right next to Taylon Green every time they were watching film, and he was really helping Taylon Green a lot with a lot of the knowledge of the game. And so, and you mentioned Bush. Bush has mentioned him plenty of times when talking about Taylon Green or just talking about the quarterback room in general. Is it that Colt Fulton's almost been like a second coach in the room, helping out these guys, and he's 6'4", he's got size, and Kay Foster says he'll be the best left-handed quarterback in Boise history after the bowl game. Jay, has there been? We were talking about this the other day. I can't remember any backups, walk-ons. Has there been a left-handed quarterback that has taken a snap for Boise State since Kellen Moore? I mean, I guess Colt Fulton did it already in the Utah State game, but I guess throw a pass would be a better way to put it. Was any of those walk-ons? I was thinking of a couple that ended up transferring out, but I think they were all right-handed. Has there been one?
I was trying to think of like Jimmy
Lockray
or something. I was just waiting for you to do that, bud. There's your freebie. I think it was Jimmy Lockway lefty.
Yeah, and he went to like some California school, Sac State or somewhere. I forget where, but I don't know if he was or not.
I don't remember.
We may need to look that up, man. He might be the first left-handed quarterback at Boise State to throw a pass since Kellen Moore.
He might be. And even then, I don't know if I guess we go back and see who's attempted passes, in the last decade plus, but
it seems like a Jay Tust special right there with the stats. Okay, so Bush Hamden said on Idaho Sports Talk they were going to pick one guy and go with them. And then, like, literally a couple hours later when I talked to Spencer, he said both quarterbacks will play. I know that they're still trying to figure this all out. I assume Bush is out recruiting. Like, they're not even able to all, figure this out yet. I'm sure that plan has changed. But do you think we see both? Do you think they just pick one and roll with them? What do you think the plan is?
I think we see both. I think in some capacity, we probably see both. And that's probably a good thing. But yeah, does Colt Fulton starting, should that worry people about the long-term future of CJ Tiller? No.
And the thought that, hey, you might need CJ Tiller to be QB1 next year. Let's see what he has in the bowl game. See if he's good enough or if you need to go in the portal. Versus, hey, our best chance to win this game is probably Colt Fulton. Let's go with him. Sounds like you're saying, hey, the 9th win here, the momentum going into the offseason, you win this game and worry about next year come January 6th or whatever. Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah. I'm not too worried about, if CJ puts himself, if Talon doesn't come back, if CJ puts himself in a position to beat out Maddox Madsen, that would be an outstanding issue to have. That would be a wonderful issue to have. But let's not forget, guys, CJ Tiller is a true freshman. He should have every right to redshirt for a full year, learn and grow and get better. I'm not really buying into. I'm not writing CJ Tiller off if Colt Fulton is the starter in this bowl game over him. He is a true freshman, man. Like,
yeah,
everybody would need to chill on that one, in my opinion.
K Foster, Colt gives him the best chance to win the game. CJ's a long-term guy. Fulton also played in the Trinity League in high school, has played in some high-stress games. We'll see. I'll be curious if they already have the decision made and they just give all the reps to one guy, or if it is any kind of competition in practice throughout the week. And I don't know, when you're talking 3rd and 4th string, if you're really giving UCLA any kind of advantage by saying who it is or not at that point, Jay. I don't know if that's something. Spencer Danielson's been pretty open. I don't know if he'll come out Monday at his press conference and just say who it is, or if they're going to let them battle all week, or at least keep the intrigue going till later in the week. But certainly two different looking quarterbacks, 6'4" lefty and a 6 foot, guy, and CJ Tiller. I'm intrigued to see how it happens. I think Colt Fulton, based on what I've heard, has earned the opportunity. As I said, a very smart player. Very heady player, and has been 3 years in the program, kind of as the walk-on weight in his role. And man, what a cool story it would be, Jay, if he goes out there and balls out and is able to get it done. But it'd be a cool story for Tiller too, getting a chance to really not play at all. This is kind of unprecedented, Jay. This is to have a playing UCLA in a big-time bowl game on ABC national television, and whichever guy you put out there has played 2 or fewer snaps on the entire season or whatever it is. I know maybe it's 3 for I think Fulton's played a couple if you count the 2-point conversion as snaps. I don't know if you even count that. But the one play in the Utah State game. So glad it ain't my decision, man.
I'm right there with you.
We'll see what happens. I think there's going to be some
best, by the way. I was doing my best to find something. I swear, and I can't remember if he actually threw the pass or not, but I swear Boise State ran a trick play with a left-handed wide receiver.
Yes. It's CT Thomas.
CT Thomas. That was my guess. It was a 3-yard touchdown pass.
CT Thomas is left-handed. Yep. CT Thomas threw it left-handed, I believe.
So the last lefty to throw a pass in the game, the answer to that is actually
CT. I think it is CT Thomas. Wow. But we could still say to start a game or something if it happens. There's
I hear you.
A little more.
I'm just
all right.
doing
Tom
Scott, my Scott slant deep dive. You're never going to get the answer to this type of question.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out. I believe there is supposed to be some media availability potentially tomorrow or Saturday as they get back to work here this weekend and start practicing. And then obviously KTVB myself, Bronco Nation News, will be in LA all week covering the bowl game next week and have plenty of discussions. Jay, appreciate your time, man. We'll keep this going tomorrow. We'll also talk a little basketball tomorrow as well as they get set for a game on Saturday against Montana Western, I believe, or some directional school from Montana. It's a non-D1 game, so you'd like to maybe have that game be the game that Max Rice and some of these guys get going a little bit. But we'll discuss that tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for checking us out. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Make sure you like this broadcast. Subscribe on YouTube as well. And make sure you're watching KTVB, all the various newscasts and things as well for all your different shows. So do you have something else to say, Jay?
Western Oregon.
Western Oregon. Okay, I knew it was a directional state up here somewhere. So my apologies to Western Oregon. I thought it was.
Don't ask me their mascot, the Bulldogs. I have no freaking.
Are they playing C of I the night before or something? Or
actually, I think NNU just beat them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that should be a great one. Appreciate it, Jay. Thanks again to all you guys for watching. Tell your friends. Go subscribe. If anything breaks, we'll obviously have you covered. There's a basketball story up there now in the women's game. They won last night. Congrats to Gordy Presnell on 201 home wins now. So check that out at BroncoNationNews.com. And Jay and I will be back tomorrow. 2 days in a row. You get Jay. We'll talk some basketball, some more football. 9 days away. Crazy to believe this bowl game is already barely a week away. Football season will be over in 10 days. It's crazy to believe that, but we'll have you covered. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.